Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween. Whatever. Yeah, I am recording this on Halloween, hence this outfit instead of one of my usual wrestling shirts. Here it is, the super spicy pizza. I forget what we said was going to be the base for the sauce, but we found this buffalo ranch stuff, so I went with that. And we couldn't find shredded pepper jack cheese, so I bought this Cracker Jack sample platter, like it's little cheese squares, like for cheese platters, I guess. So I just laid the pepper jack section out, and I've been eating the other cheeses for various other things, sometimes just straight up. Anyway, here it is. It's also Tabasco sauce instead of just straight up hot sauce as the final seasoning on top, and I didn't swirl it, I just sort of splashed it. But anywho, so I was trying to decide what to talk about. Like, I even meant to do a Cody Rhodes style Twitter post to get some suggestions, but I kept forgetting. But while I was waiting for this to bake, I remembered, hey, remember Booker Z? That thing where I was talking about fantasy booking that I just keep forgetting to do, like, except how we keep forgetting to do the pay-per reviews outside of Halloween Havoc. I am going to talk about, well, maybe two, but at least one idea I had for that, and because I don't know if it actually qualifies for Booker Z. So, here we go. It tastes great. It tastes really, really good. And I was about to say it's not that spicy, but now it's really starting to kick in. Anyway, so I don't know how many people who TDOW faithful know me and Blackbird's history as friends, but we started as online friends. I'm pretty sure that's been mentioned now that I've said it out loud. We've mentioned it before in other videos, but ooh, wow, there's a big kick right there. We started as internet friends before, meeting up and moving in together and all that. And as I know we've mentioned before, I have not been into wrestling that long, like less than 10 years. And he's been going in and out of it, but he was really into it during the Attitude Era. At least part of the Attitude Era, maybe a little bit beyond, maybe a little bit before. And one of the things he would mention from time to time is because of my size, namely at the time anyway. At the time it was just pure height. I am 6'6". And WWE had some kind of like reality show training program. I think this was Tough Enough. I don't remember. Is that the term? They had a show where they were training new wrestlers, and he would, every once in a while, I think mostly as a joke, he would try to tell me I need to try out for that. And when I first started getting into wrestling and seeing all the crazy fucking shit they do, the running joke for a few weeks or months or whatever it would be, I'm convinced he was trying to kill me. But anyway. All that lead up to explain why maybe a year or two after I started getting into wrestling, I started to remember, like I said, I remember that conversation. And at some point I started to think, okay, let's say I apply for that show, I do really well, I get in good enough shape and everything. What kind of wrestler would I want to be? Like, what would my personality be? I never came up with a good ring name. The best I could come up with is a play on my actual last name, which I don't know if is any good, but I like it. But I don't know if I want to reveal my full name on this channel. We get like 15 views per video, but it's still not something I'm sure I want to do. I mean, you all know I'm Nate, you know my last initial Z, but anyway. So the first idea I had was basically the opposite of The Miz, and I'll explain that here in a sec. So Miz, like, yeah, granted this is a very common trait for the heel, but for Miz, like, this is like dialed up to 12. He is just the most arrogant motherfucker. Like, arrogant. I mean, you know, Roman Reigns is arrogant. Gunther is arrogant. The Miz, that's his thing. Capital A, arrogant. I meant to grab a napkin to avoid this. My first time wearing this thing. Yeah. And, you know, The Miz in particular sticks out to me because when I first started watching wrestling, ooh, time to break out the milk. He was in the middle of his IC champ reign. So, and part of my brain, he's like still the IC champ. You know, no disrespect to Gunther. He's killing it. Almost literally. But, you know, when I first started wrestling, Miz was like a legit threat. He was a dominant champion. And I was really into it. I really dug it. So that's part of the reason why The Miz in particular sticks out to me and why this is the example. So my first idea, and if I have time, I will get to the second, but I'm already like almost halfway through the pizza. Like I said, it tastes awesome. But the heat, oh my god. So I wanted to do a babyface wrestler who's the opposite of The Miz, in that he has no self-confidence whatsoever. And what I mean by that is, like, he wrestling does a good job, but time like an interviewer or another wrestler, commentator talks him up, he fights it. He argues. He's like, oh, no, I'm not that good. Oh, God, no. To the point where, like, if he's in one of those, like, qualifying battle royals, fatal four-way to get into the elimination chamber, he tries to get out of it. He's like, oh, Adam Pearce, no, you don't want me in there. Give it to someone who deserves it. No, I mean, I don't need to be in there. And then acts surprises whenever he wins. Doesn't matter against who. He acts surprised. He acts confused. Like, he wins the qualification to be in the elimination chamber. He tries to get out of it, give it to someone else. He says, well, at least let me be first so I get out of everybody's way. I want to be number one in the Royal Rumble just so I'm not taking... just so people can eliminate me and I'm not, like, getting in the way of anything. And the one bit I came up with that I really like is that if he ever becomes champion, he just becomes completely frazzled, manic, and paranoid. Like, he's backstage doing an interview, he's like, oh, so-and-so, you've just become IC champ, what do you do next? And his eyes bug out, he looks up the title, he's like, oh God, I am. What have I done? I'm never going to get a moment's peace. Or something like that. Like, this is just bare bones explanation. I think there's something there. It would obviously have to be refined or punched up. I think you could do something with that. I just love the idea of a face who's really good, but does not believe it for a second. Okay, I've still got half a pizza to go. And this second one isn't so much. I mean, if I this I'm going to talk about a heel now. This isn't so much something I would want to do. Like if I was a heel, would be what the character I would want. This is the character I'd want to do. It says I have 1 minute left, so we'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so as I was saying, next idea is a heel. It's not so much something I would do as something I would really like to see, but if I were a heel wrestler, this is the idea I would pitch. And it's a pretty simple concept, I think. I want an honorable heel. I want a heel that plays by the rules. One that is on top because he is just that damn good. And thinking about it now, this is probably more common than I really think. But this mainly came to mind thinking about champions like Roman Reigns with the Bloodline, or when AJ had that brief run with the U.S. title and the Good Brothers were his goons, or, speaking of Gunther again, with Gunther with the Imperium. So, and I specifically mentioned that because I do see this as a heel who would have goons or minions or whatever you want to call them. He would be part of a stable or a faction, leader of a faction. The Judgment Day would be another good example of this, of what I'm thinking about, but they weren't a thing when I first came up with the idea. And this is the main example I think of this is like it's the middle of a championship match. Things start going south for my heel champion. So the goons intervene. The refs don't see it. But the heel calls off the match. Says, no, I'm not winning like this. And keeps, championing his advantage, obviously, so he wouldn't lose. But he doesn't continue. Say, we'll do this another time or whatever. And then, probably mercilessly beats his minions for disobeying and interfering when he told them not to. And I had other examples when I was workshopping this idea, but now I can't think of them. There was like another example I thought of something that would be out of the ordinary. And since I still have a whole another slice of pizza to eat, I guess I'll just try to find a way to keep talking. I really had more for the heel, but I cannot remember it now. I guess it's just now going shooting for the moon, full on self fantasy booking for myself, writing myself as a wrestling OC, whatever. I don't know if these ideas are possible with the same guy. Like, let's say again, just going to shoot for the moon here. Let's say I get into WWE. I start as the face wrestler with no self-confidence. I don't know if there's a way to possibly evolve. I mean, a turn, sure, I'm sure there's a way, but would it make sense? Now, bear in mind, at this point, I'm completely ad-libbing, improvising. This is stuff that's coming stream of consciousness as I go along. But maybe? Like, maybe my no-confidence babyface would go through an arc where he realized, well, look, I am the champion. I am somehow managing to beat everyone who comes my way. Maybe I really am this good. And maybe, you know, starts to get to their head. And maybe if when they do get followers, however that works, you know. I mean, there are a myriad of ways of wrestlers getting people to work for them, so I don't know. But maybe that's why he becomes the honorable heel, is that he just wants to, like, no, I'm going to prove to everyone, including myself, maybe he doesn't say that part out loud, maybe that's like the psychology of him or whatever, I am this good, and I'm going to prove it on my own merits. I mean, it could work. I don't know. Like I said, I am not a wrestler. Oh, man, it even says the battery's running low at this point. It just dropped, too. Like, it was full -1 bar now. With, like, no preamble. It's just down to 1. But, yeah, as you can see, I've eaten pretty much the whole thing. If you like spicy food, I think you'll really like this. But anyway, those are 2 ideas I have for myself as a wrestler. Never going to happen. Obviously. But the reason why I said I don't know if those qualify as Booker Z's is because, you know, I'm not a wrestler. Does that count as fantasy booking? At least not in the way I've done any of the Booker Z's that I have, like when it's been based on actual wrestlers and actual storylines that I've witnessed. I mean, it's my show. It could be about whatever I want, and I guess on the Barris level it will qualify, but I don't know. Plus, as much as I mean to keep getting back to Booker Z, I don't know if I ever will. So there you have it, my friends. 2 ideas for me as a wrestler, and somewhere in the multiverse where that's a thing. Do you think they're good ideas? I think they're kind of good ideas. I mean, I don't know if my first one about the babyface with no self-confidence would ever happen. I really think there's something there with the heel. Nothing else would be interesting. It would be a change of pace. Because, you know, I love Roman. I love Roman. But it's just, you know, the bloodline's going to get involved at some point. And it's good. It makes sense. It keeps him strong without making him really, truly invincible. But, come on. Anyway, happy Halloween. I don't know when you'll see this, but if you see this in November, save it for next year. Take care.